This is part 3 of our series of scary stories based on suggestions from our viewers. So let's jump right into it. It was a cold December day, and the wind rattled the trees surrounding the old Victorian house. Inside, Margaret stood before her late husband, Thomas's freshly dug grave. Ever since his sudden death in a house fire 3 weeks ago, she had been alone. Now, standing by his grave, she felt an overwhelming sense of loneliness, wishing with all her heart that she wasn't alone. As the funeral began, Margaret noticed a black cat slink out from behind the gravestones, tail held high, eyes fixed on her. Startled, she watched as the animal slowly approached. It stared at her for a long moment, then turned and disappeared into the bushes. Shaken by the encounter, Margaret dismissed it as a mere coincidence. After all, it was just a stray. But days later, as she sat by the window sipping tea, she saw the same cat padding up her path. It brushed against her legs, meowed plaintively, and looked up at her with green eyes. Unable to resist its gaze, she opened the door and let it in. The cat followed her throughout the house, rubbing against her legs and purring loudly. As dusk settled, it curled up on the sofa, eyes gleaming in the firelight. Though puzzled by its arrival, Margaret found comfort in its presence. Day after day, the cat stayed by her side, refusing to leave. She named him Salem, and he quickly became the center of her world. However, Salem displayed strange behaviors. He never ate the food she put out or drank from the water bowl. Instead, he spent his days lounging around the house, watching her with an unnerving intensity. And although he never meowed, she could have sworn she heard him talking to her sometimes. Visitors to the house also began experiencing strange accidents. Her friend Susan slipped on the stairs and scraped her knee. Another visitor, neighbor Mr. Hayes, accidentally burned himself on the teapot, while her niece broke her arm falling off the sofa. Puzzled by these incidents, Margaret couldn't understand what was happening. That's when the nightmares started. Every night she dreamed the same terrifying dream. She would see Thomas burning alive in their bedroom, his screams echoing in her ears. And in the midst of the flames, calmly sitting on the bed, was Salem, his green eyes gleaming with an eerie light. Waking up in a cold sweat, she would find Salem by her bedside, staring at her intently. Terrified, she tried to push him away, but he wouldn't budge. He just kept staring, his eyes boring into hers. Determined to find answers, Margaret decided to explore the attic, a place filled with memories of her late husband. As she climbed the creaky stairs, she noticed something odd. The air grew colder, and she could have sworn she heard Salem hissing. In the dim light, she saw something strange. Behind the old trunk, some insulation had fallen, revealing a dusty old photo album. With trembling hands, she opened it. Inside, she found faded photographs from the 1920s. One picture in particular caught her eye. It showed a woman in mourning sitting on the porch swing of her house. Beside her sat a black cat, its eyes glowing eerily in the sunlight. Margaret gasped. It was the same cat she had seen in her dreams and at her husband's funeral. As she delved deeper into the album, she discovered more pictures of the same cat with different women. Each photograph showed a woman who had lived in her house over the years, all of them wearing the same expression of deep sadness. Suddenly, she understood. The house was not just a home. It was a vessel, a trap for grieving women. And Salem, the black cat, was the key to it all. But why? What was the purpose behind it? And what did it mean for her? Determined to uncover the truth, Margaret pored through local archives, searching for any connection between the women in the photographs and the house. She learned each woman had died under mysterious circumstances, their deaths ruled as accidents, suicides, or natural causes. But there was something amiss, something that didn't add up. And then she found it. The local newspaper from the 1920s reported the death of a young woman named Eleanor Blackwood. The article mentioned a peculiar detail, the same one that had caught Margaret's attention. A black cat was always by her side. Margaret's heart raced as she realized the pattern. Every female homeowner of the house over the last century had died, and the same cat had been with them all. But why? And what was the significance of the cat? Days turned into weeks, and Margaret became increasingly troubled by her findings. She couldn't shake off the feeling that she was in danger too. She tried to ignore it, telling herself that there was no real reason to be afraid. After all, she was a rational, logical person. There was nothing to fear. Then, one night, everything changed. Margaret was awakened in the dead of night by the sound of screams. Frantically, she searched for Salem, but he was nowhere to be found. Moments later, she smelled smoke. Rushing to the window, she saw that the house was engulfed in flames. Terrified, she ran downstairs, but the stairs were blocked by fire. Trapped on the second floor, she watched helplessly as the flames spread, licking at the walls, devouring everything in their path. Thinking quickly, she grabbed a blanket, wrapped it around her, and jumped out the window. As she fell, she heard the sound of shattering glass. Looking back, she saw the entire house was now ablaze, the flames reaching towards the sky. Neighbors rushed to help, but by the time they arrived, the house was a blazing inferno. Margaret suffered minor injuries but was otherwise okay. Shaken by the experience, she was taken to the hospital for observation. The following day, the charred remains of the house were cleared away. The neighbors gathered, speculating about what had happened. Some whispered about faulty wiring, others spoke of careless smokers. But no one knew the true cause. In the aftermath, Margaret found herself alone once again. She moved into a new house across town, hoping to start fresh. But Salem followed her, showing up at her new house every night. Determined to get rid of him, she tried everything. She locked him out of the house, but he simply waited patiently by the door until she let him in. She took him to the animal shelter, but he escaped somehow, always returning to her doorstep. And so the cycle continued. Margaret tried to move on, but Salem was a constant presence, always watching, never leaving her side. His emerald eyes seemed to hold secrets, secrets of the house, of the women who had lived there before her, and of the darkness that seemed to follow her. As the story progresses, we see Margaret struggling to break free from this curse. She tries to deny it, to fight it, but ultimately she succumbs to it. The ending suggests that the cat may have won, that Margaret is now trapped in its game, doomed to wander with it forever. Or perhaps there is a hint of hope. Maybe with each new house, each new life, Margaret is one step closer to breaking the cycle. The story leaves this open to interpretation, allowing the reader to decide. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe for more content. And if you have your own scary story to tell, we encourage you to share it with us. Until next time, happy haunting.